And you guys have rushed for over 200 yards, I think, in 4 straight games. You know, is this how much more room is there to grow for the offensive line particularly, or are they about what you guys are looking to see out of them?
No, I mean, we had a little bit of rotation. You know, Darius played. Jazz got in there for a play, and he was ready to go if we needed. But, you know, I trust Darius. He got in there and played. But there's always going to be room for growth. You know, a couple of times we missed linebacker coming underneath on some combos. You know, the backs had a couple of runs they wanted to have back, you know, a couple of blocks. So you're always going to have room for improvement. But I think, you know, the continuity is starting to show. Same guys on the field, you know, starting to build that confidence as we go. So hopefully we just keep improving.
You mentioned Darius. How did he do in that role at right tackle? And I guess how far has he come this season after having the off-season injury?
Yeah, I mean, Darius still, I mean, he still missed quite a bit off-season. This time in the spring he had a knee deal that he had to deal with, so he was out for most of the summer. He came back really kind of, I think, toward the end of camp, if I remember correctly. I don't remember all the way. But, you know, Darius has been around for a long time. He's played all 5 positions. So he still needs to continue to work on his strength, his focus and things like that. But his is a little bit different because he has to know all 5 positions. He don't get the luxury of just saying I played this position. So his detail and things like that have to be a little bit more elevated. But he's doing a good job. I mean, he should do a good job. He's the older cat.
You guys were able to be successful offensively without throwing the ball a ton, but how did Jordan do in the opportunities he had and passing the ball and then just managing the offense in general?
Yeah, and the quarterback position is, you know, it's more than throwing. He has to, you know, operate the offense. So if you watch the game closely, I mean, he's managing even the run game. You know, he's making sure we're in the right looks and we're not wasting plays. And he's also, you know, he was efficient in the pass game when he had to be called on, and that was a big thing we talked about was going into the game. Some teams had missed a couple of shots against him. We got to hit him, you know, and he was able to hit one, you know, hitting it, you know, and so Jordan is just he is the manager of the offense. So whether it be running, passing, he has to be completely locked in no matter the play call because he has to make sure we're in the right call.
A game like that, you know, Coach Norvell said it during the week ahead of the game that it can be big for recruiting when you play an in-state rival, especially down there where they've got so much talent. What kind of feedback, and I know you can't speak individually about guys, but what kind of feedback did you guys get after that game?
I mean, it's all been positive kind of going out and watching the improvement because what they want to see is what we've been saying is actually true. You know, everybody sells the story, everybody pitches the dream, everybody, you know, it's awesome, everything is rainbows and everything's awesome, you know, it's sunny days and there are no sad days and everything's going to be great for you. But the reality of it is, you know, they're getting to see the proof of what you say, is it becoming reality? You know, from where we started to where we're going, is it showing the things that we talked about when we were talking to these prospects 2 years ago? So if that's showing, they're starting to realize, you know, these coaches were telling me the truth. It wasn't just something to make me emotionally invested or feel good. It's just now they're actually doing what they said, you know, and that's what I think, you know, that's what, just truth. And that's all they want is the truth.
On Jordan's pass that was intercepted, what happened on that play? Was there a miscommunication between him and the receiver as far as the route?
No miscommunication. I mean, I actually was good because, you know, he was going to the post, you know, with Pokey, which he had hit before, and the safety did a good job of kind of getting there, and the corner overlapped it, so, you know, it kind of turned into like a deep punt. You know, they got it at the 1, which kind of flipped the field position. But, you know, we're okay with, you know, you take shots, you're going to have those times where you want it all and you come up a little short. But, nah, I'm on no miscommunication. He went for it all, and it just wasn't there. They did a good job defending it.
What did Trey Benson do well on Saturday? And I guess how far has he come in just getting, I guess, acclimated to the game and the speed of the college level with the more reps he's gotten this year?
The thing that people, you know, we forget about Trey is he's still a young boy. You know, he's still, you know, kind of figure out what he can do and what he's great at. And as he's starting to feel more comfortable because he's starting to build his confidence up because he came from a major deal and he's kind of getting back to feeling like himself as the season progresses and also getting acclimated to the offense and learning the details of it and where things hit and also having a consistent line in front of him. And I'm going to tell you, the thing that gets unsung is those receivers and tight ends are the ones that's breaking those long runs. That creates the explosives, how the tight ends are finishing and leveraging blocks. The receivers, you see we're getting a lot of close alignment splits, and even from outside in, those guys like Michael Pittman and you know, he was our Punisher of the week because he was laying some dudes out, and Johnny, who just loves contact. I mean, those guys, and Malik, who had a good one. So those guys have done a good job of making the run game explosive outside of just the normal running back and O-line play, you know.
Syracuse's defense has given some teams trouble. What kind of things do they do? Coach mentioned just how multiple they are, but in terms of personnel and also scheme, what challenges did they present?
Very similar to a team we played earlier this year, where they like to dictate. You know, they don't want their defense that they want to establish what they want it to be, and they want to make you adjust to them. You know, they're going to present some challenging looks. They're multiple in front, multiple in movement. So they just want to make sure that they want to make you play their game. And the thing I like about the defense is the hustle and the effort. Like the first thing I turned on was those guys that running to the football, they finish it with effort, they play without a passion, they play together. So we'll have a unique challenge ahead of us to make sure we can match that energy.
DJ Lundy now has scored touchdowns running and catching passes. Like, how unique is it for a linebacker to have those kinds of ball skills? And how do you figure that out when a guy comes into the program?
Well, that's Coach's Coach Norvell. That's his baby now. That fullback position. You know, whenever we work on that fullback stuff, he takes a lot of ownership in that position because that's his position. Is how he sees it. He's done a good job developing DJ in that fullback position. You know, he tells us nobody can talk to the fullback but him. So he is the designated fullback coach, and DJ is a talented player. So you know, it helps when you get to pick the one you want to be the fullback. You know, so I think Coach has done a good job identifying the talent and coaching them up.
Last one. Obviously, what's on the scoreboard matters most, but the way you guys are having the success, the physicality that you guys are playing with, just how, I guess, you know, enjoyable is that for you as a coach, and how much would you like to think of it as an offensive line coach, being the offensive coordinator, helping give this program that kind of physical identity?
Well, it's just mentality that the players have taken the ownership in. You know, I'd like to stand up here and say it was some magical words or speech or things that our coaching staff did, but I think our players have taken a lot of ownership in what they want to look like when they go out there, and going outside of just playing assignment football, but actually playing for the guy beside you and wanting to see other people have success. And once they made that decision, we're starting to see, I remember early in the season, it was, you know, which receiver is going to be showcased in this game. Then it was which running back was going to be showcased in the game. And I think consistently you saw, we said it doesn't matter to us because of the ownership they've taken and said, we don't care who shows up. We're just here to do whatever we need to do to see our brothers have success. And once that started happening and those guys took that ownership, man, I told them thank you, because that's what we needed. And, you know, that's why we're having this success. And those guys are celebrating with each other. And even in the game, you know, in the past, when you have a game where you can just run it and not throw it, you usually have somebody disgruntled that didn't get the ball, you know. So I'm excited because those guys are playing for each other. And that's what makes it fun to coach.
Earlier this season, you said the linemen were doing a good job of knowing where to be, knowing what to do. But then when you get there, you actually have to move somebody. How much better are they at that now?
Yeah, man, that's all. We got to do a lot better at that part, you know, where I always say, you know, when you have a grade sheet at that position, you can say, hey, I was on the right guy, I took the right steps, I had my hands in the right place, but that guy's still in the same spot, you know, so there's no free pluses just because you did what you're supposed to do. The bottom line is the position to be able to move somebody out the way and create space, whether it be horizontal separation or vertical separation of the defense. So that's just the standard, and I make that point just because I don't want guys to get, a lot of people, you know, a lot of players think you know, I'm doing exactly what you tell me to do, and it ain't happening. Like, you still got to be you know what I mean? Like, you still have to showcase why you can, you know, play at this level and why you can move people out the way and what you take pride in. So it's just a challenge of, you know, taking a step a little bit further than just the alignment and assignment.
You mentioned this offense and team being fun to coach, and you've been at different jobs at different levels of college football. What makes this specific program under Coach Norvell unique and enjoyable to you right now?
I mean, just because you see the growth from the beginning as we started till now, and we have a lot of like, people think it's a lot of same players that were here when I got here. Like, you talk about Maurice Smith, Darius Washington, and I mean, it's just fun. And Trey Ward, like, you get to see those guys that have started that process with you in the beginning and committed to playing for each other and watching that grow and them actually see the belief of that is what works. I do see why you were saying the things you were saying. And once it goes from the coach-led team to the player-led team, then it's like all right, they know the standard, they know what to expect. So now you see guys holding other guys accountable and checking guys. Well, you don't have to come in and be the coach and give 9 speeches every day and 9 lectures every day because that player's already pulled that guy aside over there in the apartments and the dorms and said, we got to get this fixed before we even get back to the building. And when you have that, that makes it a little bit more enjoyable to coach.
Coach said he thought Dillan Gibbons played his best game since he's been at FSU. How good was he on Saturday? He
was real consistent, and that's what I wanted him to be because, I challenged him a lot because, he was going to have to do a lot of duty. That was a good defensive line, and we were going to have to run a little bit of counter, and they were physical in those kicks, so he had to be more physical. And we had to be consistent with the combos because I thought those 2 D tackles, they were really good players. So I thought he came with his mind right and knew what he was called on. And that's what I'm trying to get those young guys to see that, they're in Disneyland right now because, they get to make mistakes and nobody, the game doesn't hinge on their mistakes. But when you're an older guy on the field and your mistakes determine the outcome, the preparation is different. So teaching them how to be that kind of mindset without being out there is now the unique challenge.
With the success you guys had running counter, at least concepts of it, I guess, what did you see on film that made you think that would be good to go to frequently? And I guess why did it work out for you guys as well as it did?
Man, that's a play that's a staple in our offense. We've run that since we've been here, and along with the inside zone, the tight zone, the outside zone. So we've been fortunate to be able to have enough run scheme with whatever scheme we need to be called on in that game, what they're presenting that can be successful with, we can go to. So that's been beneficial for us. But it wasn't the play calling; it was the guys on the field making it get done. And we're just like, don't mess it up, let them keep doing it because they're doing a good job with it. And I think those guys showed up and did a good job of being consistent.
You mentioned the young linemen, and they've gotten some opportunities to play in a few games here or there. But how good is it going to be for them that they've been able to watch some of these older guys handle their business the way you guys want them to and expect them to, as an example for when they get their opportunities?
It creates coachable moments, because like when those guys went out there in the forward, that's probably the most, upset I got a little bit just because of things that were happening, but because they went out there just to play, and I was like, we're not just going out to play games. Now, they're still playing football. They're gonna try to, they still got their ones out there. So I want you to go out there and showcase that you've been prepared and you were listening to me on the sideline when I was coaching the other guys and getting the information and getting the checks and understand. I want to see that when you go out there because that shows me if you're really paying attention. And also, the things that we emphasize in the game plan in the week because they rep just like the other guys. So I wanted to see if you are actually paying attention, if you're actually focused in and getting the information, and if you go out there and your number is called, can you go out there and perform? And it ain't just, I get to play because we're up. Like, no. Like, I want to see, so I want to see more of those guys being locked in because if your number is called, you got to be ready to go. So it creates teachable moments.
I know your guys on the offensive line have to be locked in play to play, and I'm sure they're not seeing everything that's going on around them, but do they realize the way Trey Benson's running? Like, are they able to see that? And do you tell them, like, hey, man, look at the way he's running, like, keep this up?
Yeah, you're personally responsible for his well-being. Yes. If that guy's out there doing those things, and you don't want to be the guy that causes something happen where he can't do that no more. So it's a challenge of ownership, like we talked about at the beginning, and not just, and it goes both ways, just like Trey Benson brought up how many times Dillan Gibbons had to kick on counter. Like, man, I see you doing that, and I appreciate you doing that for me. So it works both ways and hand. But no, to answer your question, absolutely they need to recognize the sacrifice that they're doing for each other so they can have success.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.